Yesterday, a friend of mine came to me, and he had been wanting to talk to me. He's been concerned about me since I took my fall and everything related to it. And he said, I just really wanted to sit here face to face and tell you something. And what he wanted to tell me was his concern for me was that I've made this fall and the things related to it not just important or difficult, but he wanted to caution me that as a prophetic voice, that I not speak about it, that I be careful about what I say, that I not cause further damage to my life through what I say. And I thought about it, and immediately I knew that he was right. He had come to me as a friend. He came to me as one who cares about my best interests. He came to me as one who wants to see me accomplish all that the Lord has for me. And because I knew all those things, even though it was difficult for me not to go, well, you don't understand, it was easy for me to accept what he had to say. And it brought me to this place that in 2012, we're on a new correction. We're on a new corrective course. Even as he spoke yesterday about how when he took his father's boat out across a river and he was making wild changes in where it was going, overcorrecting, he reminded me of what happened to myself when I was 8 years old. My dad had this beautiful boat that he had bought. He wanted to share it with everybody. And during that winter, he painted it all bright red, and he replaced the 35 horsepower motor with a 150 horsepower motor. The thing was very, very fast. He had removed a lot of the weight of it and put in new seats and everything. And the thing was very, very fast. And he decided one day that he wanted to see what it looked like in the water because he was always driving it. So he asked me, his 8-year-old son, he said, I want you to take the boat out of the water and I want you to make a few passes with it because I want to see what it looks like. So I was 8 years old, big powerful boat, and what happened was, as I went to take off from the beach, we had this walkway, this cement walkway that went down that the boathouse came out on, and I hit it in my process of trying to correct it. And what happened was, instead of taking off slowly and moving ahead, I hit this thing very, very fast. And I didn't do anything to the boat taking off. Unfortunately, on the way back, I ran over my brother, but that's a whole another story. The point being is that a boat corrects different than a vehicle, where when you turn a car, the front wheels go right, the vehicle follows right. But in this case, when you turn the boat right, the back end swings out because it's rear driven. And so I was thinking about that when he was talking about that, and I said, how many of us have made wild and crazy corrections in our lives only to find out that we needed to make minimal corrections? How many people have been given words of corrections that we failed to take because we don't like to be corrected? When my friend came to me yesterday with this word of correction, I immediately knew in my heart that he was right. I knew where he was coming from. One of the things about correction is when we're giving it, is we need to approach it in humility. The Bible tells us that we need to be careful about bringing caution to another, lest we fall into that sin ourselves. At the same point, it also tells us to be merciful and caring and to approach that person with all humility and to come to them, not to be arrogant and to point out their wrongness, but to come to them and point it out so they can make a correction and get back on the pathway. So I thought about how many times in my life have I been confronted with the opportunity to change that I haven't, and how many have I? The Bible tells us that a wise man receives correction, and I want to be counted as a wise man, and I hope my children and my friends, they want to be counted as wise men and women as well. So I bring this forth that in 2012 we're going to be faced with a lot of things that aren't going to be the way they always have been. And men and women who have been tested in adversity are going to rise up. We're going to watch men and women that we've placed our trust in, and they're going to fall by the wayside. Not because we want them to, but because they haven't been able to stand up under adversity, and they haven't been able to weather the necessity of making change and correction. And we're going to see others who have been willing to make those corrections in their lives, who have made the changes that are necessary, who have been tried in adversity, and they're going to be shoulders and head above others. Why? Because they've taken what God has said through others in their life and said, I'm going to make that mine. It's real easy to look at something and say, I don't have to change. I don't have to change the way I think or I do things. As a business person, I find I frequently am making changes. Why? Because I want to make sure, not that I'm just the cutting edge, but I want to make sure that my changes keep me going ahead where I need to be, where I can not only be a blessing to others, but I can change what's going on around me. It's the same thing in the church. We don't correct because we want to correct. We correct because it's necessary to move the body of Christ closer to where it needs to be. So if you're dealing with a situation that you may know you have to correct, or you have a situation where you know you have to be corrected in yourself, I would just say surround yourself with those that care about you, who love you, who have your best interests at heart. Because when they come to you and give you a sure word of correction, it's not going to destroy you, but it's going to make you know how much they love you and how much they care. And so as we come into 2012 and we're seeing lots of things shifting about us, the things that we always thought were may be changing. And we may really need to correct our way of thinking and to be open, not to everything that comes our way, but to be open to correction that comes from well-meaning, well-intentioned, Bible-based, loving friends. Thanks and God bless.